Hello everyone, thank you for watching Truth Talks TV. I am your host, Katarina Illich, along with my incredible straight-talking guest here, Elliott Hulse. Thank you, Elliott, for joining me. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is pretty cool.
So, for those of the people out there who might not know who you are, I think a lot of people know of you out in the cyber world, but you are a professional strongman, a strength coach, speaker, father, husband, all these really, awesome roles that you take on. Often people have this misconception, right, that a guy who works out a ton is just, kind of a meathead. And you've got these profound things to share, and these insights that you share along with not just things that have to do with strength training, but just these life, lessons and just inspirational messages. So how did all of that kind of start and evolve, I guess?
Well, I owned a gym, and I trained athletes and did some boot camps and stuff. And that was about a year after YouTube came about. And I figured a good way to bring more clients in would be to film some of the workouts. So I put up my camera and I filmed some of the workouts, me coaching the people. And I realized immediately that, whoa, I'm getting comments from Siberia, from India, from China. It's it was crazy. Granted, the internet is still fairly new. So 5, 6, 7 years ago, that was astonishing. There was no Facebook back then. So to get feedback from somebody that lives on the other side of the world was pretty cool. So I basically just started interacting with those people by asking them questions on my strength training channel, and I'm answering their questions, and it just turned into where now I'm uploading at least one video a day specifically for strength training, building your body and stuff like that. But also, when you start to answer those questions, people will ask you questions about what do I do about my girlfriend dumping me? What do I do? My dad wants me to go to college and I would rather ride bikes, So I wanted to answer those questions. I wanted to offer some ideas. So I created a separate channel where I just offer, and I don't have the right answers, nor do I ever claim to, but just offer insights, ideas that might be resourceful for mainly young men to navigate their life and become what I call the strongest version of themselves. So it goes beyond just building a bigger, stronger body, but having the character associated with living a magnificent life in all regards.
You actually just did a recent one I think I saw where it was everything out there, you have all the answers within yourself, everything out there, any resources just pointing you to look at what you already know.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest, there are some core issues that seem to come up, and a lot of them can be found in just basic characterological issues, and one of them is not trusting yourself. Right. I noticed that a lot of the questions, the content is not nearly as important as the context. Where are you coming from with this question is always what I want to ask. I always want to know, okay, so you're asking me this question about your girlfriend, but it's why do you need to ask me that question? Because apparently the answer is pretty obvious. And it's because we don't trust ourselves. We've been taught to look for an expert or a teacher or a parent or some sort of patriarchal figure to grant us permission to be who we want to be. So I'm often reiterating the fact that you guys are powerful, you're strong, you're already the strongest version of yourself. You just got to get out of your own way and trust yourself.
What is strength really? Because that's what your whole message is, not just in strength training and in your body, but in all of your life, being the strongest version of yourself. What is that really, and how does somebody cultivate that?
Well, about 3-4 years ago, I got involved in the sport of strongman. So if anybody's not familiar with that, that's if you ever watch ESPN on Christmas at midnight, you'll see these giant men flipping tractor tires and picking up big cement stones and pulling trucks. So it's a really off-the-wall, crazy sport designed to express your strength. And I got addicted to it. I started doing it. I was really good. I was winning. Yeah. And I was slated to be the strongest in America at my weight class. And I injured myself just a few weeks before going into that contest. And the minute that my bicep popped, knew that it was time for a new version of myself to be born, because I realized how imbalanced my life had become because of this obsession with building more muscle, getting stronger, achieving more. And you know, my story is a metaphor for how we all tend to go about our lives. It's more, bigger, better, more successful, more money, whatever the case may be. For me, it was just a bigger, stronger body that wins at flipping tires. And when I popped my bicep, it was almost like when in the old cowboy movies, when a horse breaks his leg, they have to take the gun and put him out of his misery. And I went through a period of pain associated with killing that character. And if you're familiar with like what a phoenix does, you know, it burns and then rises. I think we all have the capacity to be born again, right? And that's also a very difficult thing to do. So I literally had to kill one character to be born again. And I was born again with the realization, and I formulated this over the years, that strength is found in 4 layers.
Okay.
What I call the 4 layers of strength. And these 4 layers all contribute to you becoming the strongest version of yourself. And the first and most superficial, it's really the outer layer of our strength, is what's happening here. You know, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain weight? Do you want to, what I typically invite people to do is to improve your posture. How are you carrying your body? I call that neuromuscular strength. Our body is a physical manifestation of what's happening at the far deeper levels. So one level deeper than the physical manifestation, you know, how you're carrying yourself, the look in your eye, the glimmer in your smile, is a expression of the second layer, which is our physiological strength. Physiological strength is basically how well you're taking care of your digestive system, your endocrine system, your hormones, the things that are happening internally. These are the internal systems of the body that need to be considered. You know, you can work yourself to the bone, but if you're eating poorly, not in the bodybuilding sense of eating poorly, like, you know, how to gain weight or lose weight, but if you're just filling your body with poor quality foods,
Right.
things that detract from your energy, then you're never really going to become the strongest version of yourself. One step below that, and I use that term below, but it's almost like one step above that, is energetic strength, right? It's really the one that matters more than anything. It's what's happening here. What's happening here, what's happening at a root psychological, emotional level. You know, if you're mentally stressed, it's going to manifest itself physically, physiologically, because your hormones will be off. Too much cortisol, adrenaline. You're going to be burnt out. You're going to have stage 3 adrenal fatigue. You're going to be a mess. And if you got adrenal fatigue, there's no way that you're going to be burning fat in the gym. So we've got to consider, well, what's happening here? What is your life like? How are you thinking about your circumstances? And then finally, the 4th layer is, what are you going to do now? Because really, all this growing stronger can become a bit narcissistic if we don't realize that, well, you're going to die, and how many people are you helping along the way? And I call that presentable strength, and it's a play on words, because it's how we offer ourselves as a stronger version, as a present to the world. How are you serving others? And presentable in the same way. Well, how are people perceiving you? Because make no bones about it, the way you offer yourself to the world you'll always get a mirror reflection. So really, it's going out now. It's going out and serving others.
Right. Why do you think, you just said about being reborn constantly, like dying, you showed that example in your own life, like dying to rebirth a new version of yourself. Why are people so afraid of dying? It's almost like we're so attached, not dying like literally dying, but dying like we can die daily, right? And like be reborn and born anew every day. And it's just like we're so afraid and attached to that, attached to or afraid of letting it go. It's like, where does that come from? Because it's a natural process, isn't it? To just be like, it's a constant, but...
Yeah. We become personally identified with who we've been told we are. And I think that's what it stems from. I think it stems from living in a world where everyone wants concreteness. They want to know. They want to know you're Katarina, and you've got long hair, and this is what you're like. Good, I got you. I put you in a box. You know, we live in this really reductionistic Science has afforded us so much because of our ability to reduce into pieces, right? So now we've got atomic science, and you know, if you go dig even deeper, you've got quantum science, where now it's like, okay, shit, we don't know anything. We've been able to reduce things down to such an ability, to such a degree that we can manipulate our environment. It has afforded us the world that we live in. It's given us the opportunity to speak as we are from across the world through bits, right? Through the computer, through the internet. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. The problem is human beings aren't that easy. You can't break us down. But we, in order to navigate the world, in order to be able to deal with people socially, we start creating categories for people. We start trying to break them down. You're a this, boom, gotcha. You're a this, boom, gotcha. That's, I mean, it's really a form of prejudice. You know, it might not be based on color, but it's based on, boom, I got you. I figured you out. That's
I
where you
know
belong.
who you are, right?
And you make everyone else very uncomfortable when you step outside the box that they put you in.
Yeah.
We put people in boxes. And the minute you step outside that box, your mom goes, that's not the Elliott I know. Is everything all right with you? You're acting more like Bobby. Or, you see what I'm saying? Like that, you know, you're not yourself. Well, what exactly does that mean, I'm not myself? It begins that early, where your parents want to be able to label you, pinpoint you. Boom, I got you. And then you go into school and people figure you're a jock, or you're a nerd, or you're a this, or you're a that. But the minute you step outside of that, what are you, a sellout? What are you selling? People give that to me a lot, because you know, I've got very strong convictions, and I'll just change my fucking mind. You're like, you're such a sellout. You're a sellout. Well, cool. Call me a sellout. The problem is, you thought you knew me. You thought you could pin me down, but I changed my mind. And we've got to be courageous enough to deal with other people's criticisms when we decide to change our mind, when we decide to be born again, when we decide to do something different.
Yes.
They're very comfortable because they know how to deal with us in that box. They know who you are.
Right.
But if you start acting, speaking, doing things differently, you've just thrown their game off. Well, I don't know how to talk to you anymore. I don't know. I can't expect you to be there for me on Friday evenings when we go and have drinks.
Right.
Just messed up my life.
Right.
That. But you're also showing me how you're showing me that I'm responsible for all the dysfunction in my life. How dare you go and change to become a better version of yourself, a stronger version of yourself, because now it forces me to look at myself, and I don't want to look at myself. You're a bastard.
Yes. That is so, I mean, it's like we are this energy, this vibration, and we're constantly flowing and moving if we allow ourselves to, right? If we're not so tied to this idea of ourselves or idea of others. But yeah, I've noticed that people are afraid of, it's like it kind of threatens their very belief system or whatever, their security, if you are now, oh, today I'm this. I actually just had a conversation recently with somebody, and she was, because I was telling her that I have the feeling, the heart conviction that I'm going to be moving to LA soon. And she was telling me, oh, okay, that's cool. But, you know, I had a friend who moved to LA, and you know, we're from Chicago. I mean, we drink beer, we and she's all like now, oh, I don't drink beer, and she was making it seem like because her friend moved to LA, now she's a different person. Now she's fake. And it's like, right. Is she fake, or is she just now maybe just an expanded, different version of herself? Like, why is that a bad thing?
No, it's wonderful. It's what the world does. You know, I'm sitting here looking at trees outside, and the trees are constantly changing. The colors of the leaves are changing. The way it's growing is changing. The type of water that it's receiving changes its physiology and the way it expresses itself. Nature is constantly moving. We're the ones who have become rooted in ideas, really.
Right, exactly. So one of the videos that you've done that one of the first ones that I saw that I absolutely love was you talked about creating a non-job resume, and you went through this whole process, and I just thought it was so brilliant. About, you said, love something, share what you love, receive the love, and you present it in such a way that it's very simple, and it is really quite simple, right?
It is.
But it's almost like I could feel, first of all, within myself, but I'm sure I could feel it for others who might be watching that or hearing something like that and go, okay, well, wait, it's not that easy. You know, like, how do I actually implement this? How do I actually do this? Because probably some people are saying, I am doing what I love, but I'm not receiving the money, or I'm not receiving the love. So can you share a little bit about that and elaborate, you know, because this is what you've sort of done, right, in your own life?
Yeah. You know, doing things is always easy, especially when it's presented. You know, step one, step two, step three. Becoming someone different, that's where the challenge is. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much this is actually more difficult than it sounds. It's, okay, now you need to get out of your way and allow that to happen. Mm. So that's why it seems far more difficult than it really is. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a process of self-education, there's a process of determination and discipline and consistency, all of which are character virtues. Mm-hmm. Right? Are you disciplined? Are you committed? Are you courageous? These are all things that they're not written on the board. They're what you have to become.
Right.
Become courageous to make this shit work. Mm-hmm. So it's not that this doesn't work. It's that you need to grow stronger so you can allow it to work. Mm-hmm. The mechanics of the situation, the mechanics of whatever it is that we do is important, but really it's so prevalent. How to do things. There's no shortage of how to do things, how-to books, internet websites. What I've committed to do with the Non-Job Revolution and website is to just show you how, because I know that's not the issue. We tend to attach to the how, like the how is like, that's really, if I knew how, but I know that it's like, look, I'll show you how.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Then I'll show you everything you need to do. The problem is you.
Right.
So it's an invitation. It's two things. It's an invitation to grow stronger, right? And I use many different metaphors to inspire people to do this so that they can support what's happening on Earth. I mean, we're evolving at a tremendous rate because of the internet. Ideas are being shared and remixed and growing and growing and growing. It's you need to be a part of it, especially if you have something to offer. Mm-hmm. So it's an invitation to become a different type of person, or the type of person that can do that. And it's also a place where you can learn the mechanics of it. The receiving of the money is always the hardest part, not because it's hard to set up the construct to receive money. It's because you've got money hang-ups. You don't believe you deserve it.
Right.
You feel guilty.
Right.
Asking for money. Mm. So the mechanics of how to receive money, it's not very difficult. It's very easy, actually. But the character associated with, look, first of all, you do deserve this because you're offering a tremendous service to people. Are you helping people? That's the very first thing that you've got to ask yourself. Are you putting in? Yes, I'm helping people. The people are telling me how much they're helping me. I am putting my heart and soul into this. Good. Now, are you the type of character that's courageous enough to say, can I receive back? The world's not going to say, here, let me give it to you. The world will suck you dry if you let it suck you dry. You give, and you'll end up with nothing. That's fine if you want to be that type of person. But you're not going to be of any use to anyone because eventually you're going to grow resentful of it.
Right.
And you're not going to have enough, and you're not going to have food to feed yourself so that you can keep doing it.
Right.
So you've got to tell yourself a story, which is, all I'm doing is setting up the natural flow by which I can continue to serve you by you serving me. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And you have to ask for the money.
Right, yeah, and that's all comes down to self-worth a lot of times, that core belief and issue of self-worth, like you said, deserving it. It's perfect because the whole non-job thing, because it's like, why really the traditional, as you said, the traditional American path is bullshit. Why is that? I mean, I believe it, I see it, but I think a lot of people out there still don't.
Have you read anything by Seth Godin?
Not too much.
Okay.
I mean, I know of him, but...
He's fun. He's one of my favorite authors to read with regard to entrepreneurship. He even goes as far as, I mean, he's so poetic with the entire thing that he calls it art. And really what we're doing is we're creating art. Mm-hmm. One of the things that he's brought to my attention, and this is not because he's brilliant, it's just because I didn't know, is that the contemporary school systems that we go through in the Western world, really the world at large, but mainly in the West, has been designed out of the needs of the Industrial Revolution, where they needed man-body hours. Yeah. So what you got to do is you got to create really good cogs to fit into this economic system, right? Where you've got people who are dependent on a paycheck and are willing to just put their head down and do mechanical work for a competence. Mm-hmm. And it really it reduces you to a machine. It reduces you down to a cog in a system, because human beings are far more creative than just putting together pieces on a